Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. It's like when that part of your career stops, it just moves on in a different direction.
You have to do something. Yes, it's a part of you that, especially as I worked for some time in palliative care. So most of what I was doing was watching, with people who were dying. So it was so much part of my life already, because by that time, it was in about the 70s that I started out-of-body experiences. So the two kind of overlapped.
Yeah.
And one goes where one feels one has to go.
Well, that's correct. That's so true. Yeah, I got it was very different when I was training. You had to get your degree, so and then I got my palliative care diploma as well. But I think an awful lot of it's went, the kind of too much on the educational side. I think a lot more hands-on is needed, and I'm glad that I did years of being an auxiliary nurse before I actually went on to do any more training. And I think your background is very important. So tell me a little bit about. Here's Judith. Here's our lovely Judith now on the show.
Hi, Dodie.
Hi, love, sweetie pie. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Dodie. So it is good to see you too. You look amazing. I was just
Thank
listening.
you.
I just caught the end of it. And the quantum, absolutely. We need to go to the quantum.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's a word that people find not only fascinating, but they get a glimpse of what could open their heads and open their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely word, quantum. The quantum leap. Love it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background then, from the nursing to where.
Okay.
How did you get into the movement? How did it all begin for you?
Oh, well, that began. Probably this is another program, but that became my life in the 60s when I was caught up in a major car accident. And the two boys that were in the car that hit us were trapped under the wheels. It's a very long story, and I really don't want to bug you with it, but it's how the out-of-body thing really took off.
Okay.
Because I became involved with these boys because they were dying. It is a long story, but somehow it's what happened that night opened a path in my life that I began. Because everybody travels. Everybody travels out of body. It's not down to one person, one gift. It's a natural phenomena, but you need something to kind of waken it, or something to remind you that it's happening. So you start to chart it, or start to put it down in a diary per se. And it was that incident with those boys that, and I was only, I think, 16 or 18 at the time. So it was trauma. And from then, I think it went from that through the modelling thing in London, and then the nursing thing was always in the background, because it was almost triggered.
Yes.
And my husband said, "Why do you want to be a nurse? Why do you want to do that?" And I said, "I really haven't a clue. I just know I have to do it." And that's how it sort of began, which is much the same really with my spiritual work. It's how I got the name spiritual midwife.
I gathered that.
What would happen, people would be dying on the wards, and I would be somehow around, and so they would come and fetch me, and they would say, "Nurse Hamilton, can you go and sit with so and so?" So it became a very, very important part of my life, and still continues. Now.
It's very interesting. I would like to touch back on the out-of-body experience as well, if you don't mind. Can I just, for viewers who don't know what an out-of-body experience is, any of the listeners who don't understand that, could you explain perhaps a little bit about that and what your experience was like?
The term out-of-body is actually completely wrong, because it suggests that the body, you flit off and leave your body behind. There is always a link But what the term kind of covers, there's another one which people tend to use as astral traveling.
Yes.
The whole thing is that somehow the consciousness shifts and something happens that allows you to realize that you can climb out or roll out. Mine started really in 73. And the first thing I know of it was of waking up and sitting up and thinking, oh, my husband's still asleep. I need some rolling. I thought getting out of the bed, but actually what happened was I was getting out of my body and I found myself standing beside my bed. This is just one example. Many people have the feeling. There's a wonderful, wonderful man, God rest him, who talks of journeys out of body in a book called Journeys Out of Body, Robert Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
He died,
Yeah.
yes, 95. In 1995, he died. Many people visualize, they find themselves sort of on the ceiling and pushing the ceiling. But for me, it was rolling out and being scared and rolling back in, but bit by bit, slowly monitoring what I was doing until the end, or until eventually I was able to visit my mother in 1979, who was dying in hospital, and I was able to go to the ward, which was in Warwickshire, as I was here in Essex. And so eventually what happens, I could, if you like, organize the out-of-body trips rather than just find it happening.
Yeah.
I mean, 1973 and we're now in 2024. I have had now a point where I can, if I want to, I can sort of go to heaven. I can go to see relatives long gone. People who are in this wonderful way of being, they can eventually get to a point where they too can organize it. But you're never alone. You've always got someone with you. I could never see my teacher. He was always behind me on my shoulder. And he would say, Dodie, come out, Dodie, time to go. And you have a jump off point. My friends who I speak to a lot about this, who are also in this situation, they have a jump up, what they regard as a jump off point through meditation. And they will climb ladders or whatever, and teaching themselves how to do this. My mind seems to have reached a point where I have what you might call a team of people with me. And we go to, I won't say save souls, because the soul is always safe. The soul is with God. We go to help those bits of consciousness that have been left behind. So I have one tennis star who comes with me, and we have to make a meeting point. It's a long thing. It's a very complicated thing. It's now 50 years of doing it. So, but it's wonderful, and it's allowed me to meet and greet my dad, my mother, and angels, talk with them and see angels that are not what I always thought when I was a kid, that an angel was a nice fluffy being, which some are, some are not. Some are 6 foot winds and howls and the most wonderful, beautiful things. Some are very scary. Some would see me and think I was nothing, which was fine. You know.
Yeah.
You understand, Judith, don't you? You know exactly what I'm saying.
And I do. I'm laughing when you talk about the ladder. I'm laughing because I've had a lot of outer body experiences, and I actually can remember the ladder made me giggle because I was I know my spirit team was there, and they were making me climb this ladder, and I can remember saying to them, why do you want me to climb a ladder? I know how to climb a ladder. And they went, no, honestly. So they made me climb the ladder, and instantly I was Lemurian. And then I was in Atlantis, and then they showed me what I did, in the life and like everything was just instant.
Sure.
And they were saying to me, this is what it's like, Judith. The mind tells you here on the earthly plane, there has to be a process, there has to be all
Got
this
it. That's
routine.
absolutely right. There
Really,
has to be a process.
That's
It's
it.
kind of a kidology, isn't it? It's a kidology with the mind. What you're doing,
Yeah.
you're saying, in order to go up, I would have to climb a ladder. In order to go sideways, I would have. We still think in earthly terms, even when we're out of body. I have stood in my husband's garden at, say, 3 or 4 in the morning, or whenever. And everything has been human and wonderful. And flowers, he used to grow prize chrysanthemums, and the perfume used to swell across me. And I used to touch them and feel them. And all of these things would go on. But for a good year and a half, I stayed close to home because I felt that it was a thing I needed to do. It's again this kidology. It's this idea of I've got to stay safe. But the whole thing about journeys of that kind, they are safe. I've had some lollapaloozas. I've had some scary stuff, really scary stuff where I've been taught major lessons about don't be too clever, missus. I've had some really scary stuff where I thought I couldn't get back. But that's nonsense. Of course, there's a collusion going on. Yeah. The body the body lies there and it says, okay, do what you want to do. And if the body, say, is lying on an awkward place, it will send a message back. There is a whole wonderful live and let live thing going on, plus the fact you are in the arms of the Almighty because there is something protecting you always. Do you remember, you may not remember, but some years ago, I used to hold a group like you girls, because my whole thing was about getting it out. And I used to hold a group, and my husband, we'd bring food out half time and everything. But this particular night, I was shown what I thought was a mountain collapsing. And I was told, tell the group. It was where I was brought out my body, same thing, come on, Dodie, out, out, out. So I'd roll out, stand up, and I would go through this window. That was my jump off point. And I was suddenly looking at what appeared to be a kind of huge landslide where water was falling and whatever. And I knew that where the area was, and I was told, remember. And this was to give to my group. But it wasn't for me to sort of show off. It was for them to say, look, this is real. So 3 days, I was given 3 days. So I was told, tell them on the Thursday, and they were to look for 3 days. With 3 days, there was a huge, in Italy, there was a massive cascade of water and river, and it was so dramatic. But it wasn't for me. It was for each one of the 14 group, for them to think, you're not there to fool around. You're not there to imagine yourself dreaming. This is real.
And we've work to do.
Yeah, work to do. So get on with it. Don't just sit there talking about lollipops and roses. This is why you're here. Yeah. Very dramatic way of learning, but necessary.
Sometimes we learn a lesson and we learn it the hard way rather than we take it. We understand the deeper meaning, I think, sometimes when we learn it the hard way.
Indeed.
It sinks in more. So it does.
When I wrote The Lighthouse Keepers, which I think was either the second or third book along, I thought I was writing about a ghost, etc. But I realized very shortly that I was writing about near-death experience, and that I was relating it to a modern Afghanistan soldier and his beautiful love, who wanted to love, Daisy Banks. But partway through, I was sort of, it was very cerebral. I was telling Alice earlier, this is not a book to be taken lightly. If you're going to read my stuff, start early on. Start perhaps with Fragile Blossom, which is gorgeous, but start early, because The Lighthouse Keepers blew my mind. I thought, how can I write this down? But then one night I was taken out of my body and I was shown a house, a doll's house, a massive doll's house with all these different floor levels. And first of all, it was a doll's house. The doors opened And then there was all these layers, all these tiers, and there was animals, cars, elephants, all this. And I said, what is it? And this angel said, these are parallel lives, parallel worlds. So he said, watch. He closed the doors. And I thought, what? And as I looked at it, in front of the doll's house was what appeared to be a little pond. And as I looked closer, I saw that it was made, the banks around the pond were made up of little bits of Lego. And as I watched further, a bit of the Lego fell down. Out of the water came a giant hand and fitted it back into the wall. And the angel said, now tell me, Dodie, whose hand was that? So I put this out to the group and they all said, yours. I said, yes, mine. The wonderful thought process that was going on there, the creation thing, how we create our own worlds.
Absolutely, yeah.
We are the creators. That big hand that came and it tidied it back and it made it all nice was my flipping hand. Through thought processes. And it was such
amazing. It is, yeah. It is. You know, I laughed, Dodie, because The Reluctant Angel was the first book I got of yours.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I understand why that's because I pushed I pushed that side of me away for so long.
You wanted to be ordinary.
Yes, I just, yes. And then I was actually talking about this the other day, and it only hit me really the other day. I was that reluctant angel that needed to get that book. Hence why that was my first book.
Yeah. Gabriel, as we meet Gabriel in A Second Chance, this is 1934, isn't it, Judith? Remember? And he's a young man of 17, and he can't read, he can't write, and yet he can help animals, he can heal animals, he can heal people, he can change seasons, but he doesn't want that. He wants to be ordinary. And then he knows that somewhere in the world he has his other self, his other part of himself that comes to him. And this is, of course, Adelia, who in England comes, as we know, and we meet him in Reluctant Angels, where it was, if you remember, Judith, it was the third book in the series. The first book is A Second Chance, the second book is Perfidia, but we go back to his early childhood in because he didn't want it. He didn't want to go to war in Korea. He didn't want to. Oh no.
Yeah, he thought
he didn't want to fly. He didn't want to be able to do the things that he did, but he had no choice.
But ultimately, you know, when you talk about that, Dodie, like I know Alice, you went into your nursing, like Dodie, you did, you know, but you come back to the spiritual, you come back to what we're doing, and a lot of us can relate to your stories, Dodie, and in a realistic way, because you're describing what it's like for a lot of us on our journees, and those battles that we have, and how the mind can play tricks on us.
Yeah, I the people that I've met during my life, a good friend of ours, we just learned today that a good friend of ours has died, and you realize that all the while people, ordinary human beings and rich human beings, whatever kind of human beings, we're all dealing with a really difficult thing. It's life is a gargantuan thing. It's a gargantuan puzzle. And because we think like that, and we don't realize that the divine is always trying to say, hey, I'm here. In my childhood, I went with my mum, my dear darling mum, who used to do a job as a little cleaner, and she used to work for a doctor. And because I was always ailing, I was a miserable kid, she would take me with her and I would be bored. But I remember going to this house and stopping, and she's saying, what? I said, well, this is it, isn't it? Number 34. And she said, you're stopping in the middle of the path. And I could see this gate very clearly, number 34. She said, don't be ridiculous. And she hauled me further on. But it was exactly that. It was 34. And she'd walked in and out of that gate without realizing that it was that gate. And I'd seen it sort of halfway down the road. And this is what we do. We get these little pointers and we think, it's just imagination. Those two words, just imaginations, they're killers. And if we haven't got loving parents, if we haven't got parents who want to kind of, I mean, I don't mean disloving, but I mean, if we haven't got understanding, the modern parent is much more with it. If their child says, Mummy, I talked to my friend last night, and his mummy says there was no friend there. Modern parent won't do that. Oh, really? What?
Yes.
Your friend that you talk to at night? Yeah, he will be interested. My mum, she had to work hard for a living, and she thought I was a dreamer, which I was, of course, a dreamer.
Yeah, I was always told I had a vivid imagination.
Yeah.
Until
Were
they found out
to behave? Were you told to behave? Were you told to stop, to behave and stop showing off?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Multiply that by thousands of people throughout the world, millions of people throughout the world, who every day walk through dreams and think, oh, I'd love to tell people about that. But
But for anybody though that would be interested in purchasing some of your books, what would you recommend they read the first?
Not the Lighthouse Keepers first. No.
I purchased that last night. I did.
Cerebral.
I was quite.
Yeah, and because it's a modern thing, the language is a little bit, I must apologise to your mum for that, but you got to realise that
it's really good.
The characters, they take off.
So do you know what? It's important that how you do it is how you're meant to do it.
Yeah.
My mom, she loves the book. My mom's just from she's from a different era. She was brought up through the church all her life.
Yeah. The little bit of fuffing and what have you that goes on. I realise that. I've had Dodie, I look at you with different eyes, but it's not that. It's the Lighthouse Keepers is very, very cerebral, but it's set in a modern way, so the parlance is really easy to understand. What is not easy to understand is when you get to the middle section. And I'm trying to do this to my buddies in Korea and in Japan. And they say to me, Dodie, please read the book, because reading it is easier for us than reading as a book. And I get that.
Yeah.
But there is a point where I have to say to them, I can't do this any further, because you have to read it to study it. And you have to think, why is Lucian, this wonderful Afghanistan soldier, who's come back? What is he seeing? What is he? Why does she go to a house and 1 minute it's alive, and the next day she goes and it's there's dust and cobwebs? You have to read it. But so I would say, Alice, in answer to that, and isn't this exciting that we can talk like this?
Yeah.
Aren't we lucky?
What would you say though? What would you say for the first book then for anybody?
I would say Fragile Blossoms is set in Victorian times and is beautiful. The language is beautiful.
Yeah, I purchased that as well.
That's lovely.
Yeah,
the honeybees. The honeybees is a very, again, I'm trying to get into a phrase where people won't be offended by the language, because say for instance, a Second Chance, you find Bobby Rourke, who every other word is a fuff, 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 fuff. But and that was when your mum said Dodie.
I think we better explain to Alice. So Alice, my mum was so I introduced my mum and said, Mum, you need to read Dodie's books, because my mum was a massive reader. And she was like, so we got her The Reluctant Angel when I was getting
Reluctant Angels first. Yeah, and even though it's the third in the series, I would get that first, because it takes you to Gabriel at 17, and you understand straight away this beautiful boy.
Yeah, I was very drawn to it. So I said, Mum, you have to read this. Mum got one and she was just, that was amazing. I'm going to get the rest in the series.
I have had people cry with that one. And they cried not so much in Reluctant Angels, but in Perfidia.
Yeah, she says,
Perfidia with about Sophie.
I didn't know there was different things going on in that.
I know. I know.
And I was like, please don't tell me you've messaged Dodie to say. Please tell me you haven't.
The thing is, you see, we because we are so fortunate that we have seen through walls.
Yeah.
You know, it allows as me as a writer to take a few tricks and a few chances that I know my readers, certainly with A Lighthouse Keepers, although it is difficult in the middle, the story is wonderful because it's almost verbatim what the angel told me. So when we're looking at parallel lives, when Daisy is looking at parallel lives and she's looking at her mum and her dad in different settings, that was what this angel was showing me in this wonderful doll's house. In fact, when I wrote that, I put out the whole thing about the doll's house. And I got masses and masses of messages about that because it makes sense. We are playing. You know, it's like we are children and we are playing with something wonderful, this thing called life, this process of thought patterns. And within the animals, they all fit in. All of the things that, and the people that have come before us, the energies that have come before us, and the lives that Egyptian, all of those things that brought us through this time. It's a kind of wonderful game. But it's our game. It's not the Lord's game. It's not the angels. It's our game. We are actually learning.
Angel.
Well, I got that one as well, Judith, last night. So I've got both at the moment.
Yeah.
So I will,
Wonderful.
I'll start on.
Just take your time and be happy and know that really I'm talking about you guys and talking about. And it's not me talking half the time. That's what's lovely. It's some other energy.
I felt that. I mean, I've only read, I think, the first chapter of Reluctant Angels, but I could sense that this wasn't just coming from you. You know, you could feel the spiritual energy and the drive that was getting pushed through you for you to write.
I'll tell you something wonderful. I went to a seance recently, 5 years ago. That's the recent for me. 82, 5 years ago is recent. And I'm just there watching. And out of nowhere, a rather wonderful medium, she said, I've got somebody here for you, Mrs. Hamilton. So I said, oh, lovely. She said, I think he's American. I said, okay. So and this voice came through and I went, hello. How? And he called me my lady. How are you, my lady? And I thought, what this? He says, you don't know who I am, do you? I said, no. He said, you do know me. He said, but you wrote me into a book. And it wasn't even Gabriel. It was the character in A Secondhand Chance. It was actually a living man that I'd read about. And it was this marvelous, the fellow that's so human throughout. And how he battles to try and keep Adelia and all the things that go. And it was there at this perishing thing. And I thought, oh, this woman's read my book. But she hadn't. She didn't know who the hell I was because I just went there as Mrs. Hamilton. And he spoke to me at length about how he enjoyed listening to my thoughts.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Doll's House is right.
Yeah. But isn't that amazing that, you know, you are connecting with the spirit world and you're sharing, helping share their stories. You know, it might be wee tweaks on it, but it is parts of their lives.
Oh, for sure. It's like the animals that so many people now, because I'm a Dachshund, love her, and all dogs really, but Dachshund, because Dachshund is what we have at the moment. I've been involved with Dachshund societies, and so many times you see, oh, I lost my little what's it today, or I lost my little Bernie today, and you can feel the sorrow rolling down. And we are in the position to say, they will come back. They will visit you. They have not really gone. They are still there within you. And my two Siamese cats that are in The Lighthouse Keepers were my Siamese cats, Tai and Ming. I wrote them in there as a kind of memorial to them, God love them, as I wrote the Canary Trilby in. But those two cats sort of left my home in a bad way. Our little daughter just been sort of traveling around, and she was eating kitty cat and all sorts of things, and it was getting really desperate. So someone said, that's all right, I'll look after them for you for a while. But they lost them. I don't know whether it was the cats tried to come home, but they lost them both.
Oh.
And so I was left with this tremendous guilt, really, really awful feeling. These two, this seal point and the blue point, my love, I'd had them since they were that big. So I left with terrible guilt. And they always did the same thing at night. They would jump on the bed. They would come up to the top. I would lift the cloaks up and they would dart in and crawl around my feet. For, I would say, a year, there was nothing. And I carried this guilt until this night when I felt on the bed. And because I was half asleep, I thought, oh, it's just the cats. Didn't give it another, up they came. I lifted the clothes up, down they went, turned around, flop. And that was when I was awake. I thought, it's the cats. And I was trying to nudge Dennis, but he slept on. So I lifted the covers and there they were, their eyes. So animals forgive all sorts of stuff. I knew that was them saying, it's all right, it's okay. But I knew it was them saying, we are dead. So it was that horrible combination of joy and pain.
Yeah.
Animals do try, they do try to make their presence known.
We've got a question for you, Dodie, by John.
Hello,
hi,
John,
and welcome to the show. It's nice to see you on again.
Dodie,
have you ever seen spirit leave the body at time of passing?
Yes. Being a nurse, and nurses will get this, when you are in palliative care, your whole thing is one of body care. You cannot really do anything other than the body care. That's what you do. So I would go on the ward and the sister would say, Dodie, can you go? And I'd know what it was about. So I'd sit there, talking to them, helping them, whatever. But every nurse in the world knows this, male and female. John, you can turn your head away, you can turn back, and they're gone. And it's like a kind of click. So what I kind of not learned myself to do, but eventually found in that process is a process called Cheyne-Stokes breathing. It's and you think, and then it's that where the body really isn't, they're not there anymore. They're enclosed, if you like, by the chain, but they're not there. The soul's not, the spirit is not there anymore. But the body is this engine. It can't help itself. It keeps going. So all of that. So don't be frightened ever. People, lovely people, if you're there with your relative, do not be frightened. If you're watching that breathing, don't think they're suffering. It's only the body. They are somewhere much safer. They're still attached, if you like, but they are cushioned. And that's another thing we must talk about. But John, yes, but how it would happen, it would be the best way I could describe this would be like a shimmer going through the physical corporate body. And then the sense of a layer of steam. Really, it's the wrong word. And I don't mean steam. I don't mean that. I mean some energy. I've seen it in two different ways.
It's like a mist. Well,
I've seen that mist kind of lift in the form and shape of that. But I've also seen people sit up and reach out as if to take a hand.
My gran did that. My grandmother did that.
When you see that, that's the most beautiful moment, because there, John, what that person is seeing is not you, not the world. They are seeing the one that they love, that's come to collect them. It can be a husband, it can be a wife, it can be something that you totally believe in. My mum was an absolute Christian. Her great love was the Lord Jesus. She did exactly that, and I knew who was holding her hand.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that, Dodie. I actually witnessed that with my own grandmother. And I mean, she was lying and she was chain stroking, the whole time. And then power and the energy, she just lifted herself right off the bed and her eyes opened and hands reached right out, and you could see that it was the the pain, the suffering, you know, it was like all of a sudden she became younger. She looked younger, you know, and just reached her hands out, and you could see the smile, and she stayed up like that, and then she just gradually, we helped her go back down again. You know,
when you're a relative, you can't really get it, because bless you, you are so distraught of what's happening. So the observation faculties, but some part of you, Alice, because you are you, Alice, you were able to. But most people, when they're a relative, they are so. The process of dying is all wrong in this country. It's completely wrong. It's much better in a different societies where it's treated with a much more open and loving thing. And to John, God bless you for that question. If I understand what you mean, is there a visible actual process? There is. And I think that's the time when you can be with your loved one and you can talk to your loved one, because I believe that although they have left, they haven't. A bit of their consciousness remains, and that consciousness is open to you, and it's then you can say, love you, love you, love you, thank you for. That's when you can say it, and it will be heard. It will be heard whenever, but in that moment there's a kind of holy, sacred thing going on, and you are safe. You are safe and they are safe. And it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, and it's also very beautiful to witness as well. You know, my grandmother was very religious, and she lived in Ireland, and she believed in God and Jesus and on all the saints. She believed in all of that. And to see her do that, you know, and the power that she had to lift herself right.
She was sure. See, she was absolutely sure, Alice. She was certain. She was certain what was going to happen. She had no fear, because that's the wonderful thing about faith. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Buddhist, whatever it is. The wonderful thing about faith is that it allows you to kind of protect yourself, or kind of to shield yourself from what you think is happening. It gives you an ability to, I mean, I once got involved, as you do when you're learning. I once got involved, or was asked to join a witches' coven, white witches, but never mind, doesn't matter. And I thought, well, I'm not sure about this, because I was brought up as a Christian, and therefore my childhood is steeped with the idea of Jesus and of Easter and of Easter eggs and all that wonderful. And I want to hold on to that, even knowing what I know. And even seeing what I've seen, I still know that existence, that love, that being, that marvelous being. And I've had people say to me, Dodie, and this is a regular question, do you believe that there was a man called Jesus who died on the cross? I said, well, if that happened in 2000, whatever, before, and we brought 2000 years, people have believed that for 2000. They have died on the Titanic believing that. They've died with a noose around their neck believing that. They've died like your dear grandmother. 2,000 years of that, my God, that would make it happen, wouldn't it? You know, it's a backward forward thing. Belief creates. So one could say, yes, there was that wonderful being, as there was that wonderful being Buddha, all of those major spiritual energies. But also what was glorious about that is 2024 years on, that faith has bolstered it again and again and again, so that the reality of it is a cerebral thought, but the reality of that is bolstered over and over again. You just think of someone, say a sinner, a murderer in the old days when they used to hang people. That murderer at the last minute would do what all people do when they're afraid. Turn to God. Turn to the thing that's real.
That's why we're
there. And Jesus would have been there. It's a kind of, it's the most terrifying and most wonderful thing in the world. The more you open your mind to the idea of greater energies that surpass our thoughts, surpass our ideas, but they are part of us and we are part of them. The more you do it, the more you see.
Yeah. Do you know, I said this tonight, Dodie, before I come on, and I was talking with Spirit, what Spirit were wanting to share, and I said, we have this myth going back in time that you had to be chosen, that you had to be chosen to be able to connect with the spirit world. You had to be chosen to have ability.
Yeah. Mm.
I mean, really, every single one of us on earth we've all been chosen.
Absolutely.
Every single one of us, like you said, we're all chosen.
We are. It's so strange.
We're all brothers.
This is so odd. This word chosen. Before I came here, I thought, what can I do? Because I was quite excited about tonight, because knowing Judith and what you do, and knowing was going to meet Alison, knowing is going to be able to talk about such things, because I hate the idea of people being afraid. And I know that such programs like this, they cut fear in half, boom, boom. And I thought, what shall I do? Netflix. What comes up? A film called Chosen.
There you go.
Are you kidding me? Chosen. And as you say, everybody was chosen.
Yeah.
You elect to do it. And this wonderful guy I know, his name's Gary. He works underground. That's his thing. He's a tennis buff. He's brilliant. But what he does, he offers his soul safe, if you like. He offers his work to the underground. And in order to give himself a kind of lift-off point, he climbs the ladder, and jumps off. That's his lift-off point. And he will find himself literally often in the underground, literally the underground stations, the tube stations, all of those words, underground, that kind of create that thing of down. And that's where he will meet often unhappy little bits left over, little bits creating mischief, or little bits that are just lost. In this word, underground. I was asked once to work on a church not far from where I live. And so I said, yeah, I'll do this. It church was having a lot of troubles. So I went this time. I always go on my own, because I'm not on my own. And this is some time ago. So I'm there and I'm trying to find what I'm supposed to be seeing. And then I saw them. And there were two children. And they were dressed as Bash Street kids. Do you know what I mean by Bash Street kids? The gym slips, the stockings falling halfway down the legs, the hair's all over the place. It was a joke. It was them saying, yeah, can you see us? Because Bash Street kids, in the comics, the ones that are always the naughty ones, they took that guise of naughty children because they wanted me to see that's exactly what they were. They were naughty children and they were having fun. And they didn't really want me there, and they didn't really want me fiddling with their fun. Yeah. So we arranged the Verger a kind of a side entrance for them to, if you like, play in. I mean, that sounds very facile and silly, but it's not, because I don't go there alone. I go there accompanied. Therefore, what I do is just my bit on earth. What happens then is it's led by other people, other energies take over. But I thought that was so funny that they thought, Bash Street kids, hockey stick over one shoulder, plaits, hair sticking out here, stock falling down. Bash Street kids. So,
but Jodie, do you not think too, our world's got too serious? We forgot that inner child. We forgot, like you touched on the imagination with Alice earlier, and when we think about it, our world has got very serious, and we do forget that inner child, and we think, we can't be silly, we can't do this, we need to be sensible, we're adults. Personally, and Alice, I know you're the same. Personally, I'm that big kid. I am that big kid. If I can get up to mischief, I get up. I always did.
The big kid never goes away. The big kid is always there, which is why we see so much damage, because the kid, I must just take this off a minute. The kid is there in the sense that still waiting to be seen. My kid, I know, is still there. My kid, my unhappy little kid of seeing things and not being, is still there. Even though I'm 82, it's still there. And my husband, who's this wonderful, strong man, his little kid is emerging now because he's worried about me. So all of these things interact. But you're absolutely right. We've become, and we've also, something awful is happening where this idea of transgender has been misunderstood and has been. I have a separate thread to my work, which is still in the lines, if you like, of spirit measure. Well, I talk to parents who are experiencing children that one child, one little darling, who thinks of himself as a tractor. He sees himself as a tractor, and that's okay. He knows he's another person, but his parents desperately worry about this. We are taking that to literal, in the sense of not seeing it as part of the child. It's not. It's not the gestalt. It's not the whole thing. It's something the child is trying to understand. It's something that makes them happy.
Dodie, you talk about you being 82. My mum's 85 tomorrow. My mum's turns 85 tomorrow. So happy birthday!
Happy birthday to her. God bless her.
But she never, my mum taught me the inner child. She's 85 tomorrow, and I can remember she would have played Xbox Live. She does her crafts, she makes invitations. She's so creative, and she's just that big kid. And we used to keep her going and say, "Gun 'em down, Granny" was her handle for the Xbox.
Yeah.
But we used to say, "Do you know what? She's happy. She's so full of life.
Is.
So vibrant.
She is.
That's her."
And what she has done for herself, she has created a world that she can visit. That's a friendly world. My mother-in-law, who lives with us, who is 101 this year, has not such a good vision. She is unable to lift herself out of the idea of being 101. She suffers with all what it's like, drugs or anything, but if you can get her into her past to talk about herself as a girl, she can be okay. It's a retreat. So that 85, that's just figure.
Absolutely. Listen, I'll always be 18. Always be. Alice, what about you? I'll always be 18.
Yeah, I always say to people, when I come back, I'll be coming back my younger self, so.
Oh, you will, yeah. That part of you that's precious, that part of you that has grown, has made the quantum leap. This quantum leap that we talked about earlier, that's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful client friend in Japan, in Tokyo, who experiences that sometime where...
Just stop you there, though, Dodie. If we can just stop you there. For those who do not understand what quantum leap is, and there will be many people that don't, okay, could you just open that up a little bit for the people who perhaps don't know what we're talking about?
Well, from the point of view of a physicist, I cannot possibly tell you what a quantum leap is, because a quantum leap is the idea of time shifting and of levels shifting, where not just the conscious, the whole evolved, but as I think of a quantum leap. It's a quantum leap in understanding of who they are and where they are.
Not everybody understands what quantum leap is.
It's to my understanding of it, it's a change within the person. It's the quantum leap idea is, of course, we get into the idea of parallel worlds. And that's the idea of the physicists and the chemists and all these wonderfully bright people who now look at the universe in a completely different way. But in terms of quantum leaps within people in their understanding, where they go from being one person to another, I think that actually physically happens. I think that what they do, they connect with another parallel self, and they... So when people come to me, for whatever they come to me, and I say, why don't you try... I would love to talk to you about this film producer, but whatever. I said to him once, why don't you try connecting with a couple of your other selves? And we discussed the idea of the levels of, am I being too silly with all this? But live
No.
thoughts and patterns where they exist, where Dodie Hamilton, where Alice exists, where the whole thing structures, but it's moved slightly, where the understanding has moved slightly. So what you get with my word, quantum leap, is where the understanding suddenly goes from the idea of, oh, I don't get that, to, it's that word, I get it. And that happened to me in that car crash. I remember that car crash as lights. We'd been to a fair, and I had my boyfriend at the time, which is lucky for me. There was no seat belts in that time. And I remember headlights filling the car and him saying, what is that fool doing? And then nothing. And then waking up, locked inside a car with a policeman sitting beside me, with blood all up my arm and all the rest of it. And I said, you know, the usual thing, what happened? Where am I? You do all of that. And he said, and I said, why am I locked in? He said, for your own good. You have been a nuisance. He said, there's a car there with two boys. He said, we had to lock you in here because you kept going to them, trying to get in the car with them. This is where we found you initially, in the car with them. And then you would faint. So it was all about, you know, that ricochet thing, that my boyfriend had pushed me back on the seat and my head had gone shunk. So that I don't remember any of that. It's all detailed in the police report. I don't remember any. I do remember thinking, I've got to save them. I've got to save them. That's all, which is so foolish, really. And I just got in the way. So they slung me in the car and locked the door. But I just wanted to hold them because they were policemen and they had to do their thing. But these were two boys that were dying. So the quantum leap, I think, was there for me.
Yeah, definitely. Is that when did you have your outer body experience in between all of that then?
No, it came, I think that I had always done it, but from that point on, it was like saying, hey, start to detail this, start to remember this, start to not just wander around being foolish, start to ask, why have I got this? What can I do with it? Now, this is the thing. I might be 82 in years, but that's just my years. When I go out of body, I am whatever the hell I want to be. I can be, you know, because I have those energies with me. And that's what I've decided to do. I have arthritic back and all the rest of it. But I can still do good because I can be used in that manner. I can, I mean, I don't want to, what I'm trying to do with you beautiful people is take 50 years and go, shh. But if you read the books, it's all there.
That's how you look so young. I think that is how you look so young, because you do not look 82 at all.
I don't.
No way. No, you're amazing.
My gardener says, you know, you're a damn problem. He says, this house and this garden.
You're distraction to him.
It's the What's It Bridge. What is it? Fourth Bridge. He said, I come here, I cut that, I come back a fortnight later, I have to cut it again. And we went down to look at our loganberry bush today, Dennis and I. We nearly fell over. It's got so many leaders coming out. We think that the house and the garden and everything gets the energy. And it's why we are covered by trees. We are covered by brambles. We're like the sleeping blooming princess. You know, it's all we need now is 100 years.
We're still
old. God love us.
We need to help people understand the quantum in big ways, bigger than what it is at the moment. We need to get it out there bigger because we can go to the quantum and we can, our healing starts with our spiritual body.
Absolutely.
So when we go to the quantum, we can cure cancer. We can cure arthritis. We can cure like any condition. And people will say, you know, I've met many people and they'll say, you know, I don't know why I've looked after my body. I've looked after this and I got cancer. I got this. And it's not that we're being punished. It's because what we have, we're meant to show we can heal from it. We're meant to go to the quantum and do our healing from, my spirit team will take me to the quantum, and in the quantum, there's nothing attached to us in any way. We are just, I am. There is nothing there.
Yes.
And we create from the quantum. And if we could get that working more on the holistic side at a bigger scale, people are healing from all sorts of conditions, and they can heal from cancer.
That's not what they want, though, Judith. They don't want that, because that would make the pharmaceutical company.
Of course.
Well, we have to work against that. Yeah, we have to work against that. The thing is, you have a field of energy that is specifically yours, mine, and within that, that's what you do. That's what you do. That's your purpose. So, say for instance, there is a famous story about a man who was, during the war, was taken on board a train. He's a very famous guy, taken on board a train by two Nazi officers, and he was beaten up. He was beaten very badly. And in the process of being beaten, he didn't do anything. He's a famous guy. I'll let you know one day, but whatever. And he didn't do anything. And he said, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. And as he said that, every bruise, every mark or whatever disappeared. And these two guys wrote this down, these two German officers, they wrote it down. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. His name is Peter, this man, famous man. He just said, I forgive you, I forgive you. And in that almost forgiving the moment, and this is the thing, time. This is this structure, this bendy thing. That's the beauty of time. That's what we got. That's ours and yours. Time. So when you move into your quantum self, when I go out of body, or when Alice moves into herself, and we operate on a time structure that is entirely our own. Yeah, it's entirely, and you can make it do. My mum. She took a long time to die, God bless her. She had a condition that was really awful. And I would go periodically out of body to see her. One particular, and I would always walk. To me, it felt like walking. And I would go and I would just observe. And nobody saw me, and that was fine by me. The last time I went, there were two people with my mother. One woman was sort of standing to one side, and one guy was sitting on the end of the bed facing that way. And I sort of wandered up, and this woman said, hello. And I said, oh, can you see me? Yes, of course we can see you. Of course we can see you. We've been watching you. Come here. And the young guy didn't say anything. He just turned to me and smiled. He said, you can go home now. You can go home now, and you can catch the next train. I went home, and after my mum died, my sister Jenny and I, we had to clear a lot of stuff. And in the process of that, we found some old photograph albums, and we found both of those people. One of them was my aunt, an aunt who lived in Lancashire, which I'd never heard of at all. But what was most fascinating was the young man. This young man was apparently a cousin of my mother's who killed himself. And he was there sitting on that bed. He was glowing. He was gold. He was fine. He was whatever he had learned in his process. He was operating on such a level that he could turn to me and he could smile and say, you can go home now. And I've never forgotten that, because the way this young guy died, it was very violent. But what I saw was this peaceful individual who was working, doing what he did, which was helping my mum. And probably helping other things, because it would have been, as we talked about time, you can be anywhere.
Yeah.
Swedenborg, Emanuel Swedenborg, he was seen in one place, he was seen in another while he was alive. Sort of, I've got so much I could tell you guys.
Talking about time, I've came to the end of our time. We've came to the end now.
Poo.
Yeah, I know there's so much, Dodie, we can speak about. So I'm looking forward to having you back on again, and we'll arrange a suitable time, month, etc., to get you back on the show again. As I say, I think we spoke about maybe a little Christmas special, which I think would be really good.
That would be such fun.
Yeah. So for everybody who's still with us, or any listeners, stay on, because we are going to move on now, and we're going to move on to the live readings with Dodie, Judith, and myself.
Lovely.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. We're back again, and this is our second part where we will be doing live readings. So anyone who's listening or anyone who is actually watching the show, we will be doing live readings with Judith, Dodie, and myself. So if you could please share your answers in the comment box, okay? I know there can be a little delay there, but if you can share it in the comment box what you understand and perhaps what you don't understand, so as we can validate that with Spirit World and find out where we're going. So as we're giving this evidence of spirit coming forward, and also the message coming forward to the right recipient. This also will be going on podcast as well, so there's no visual there. So we will be scrutinizing that over a little bit more as well, so as people understand, you know, who cannot see, but they're listening, okay? So during the show, I will kind of pop in and out and say certain things. It's because for people watching the podcast not being able to see, but they're listening to it, okay? So I'm not sure who would like to go first. I won't be going first because I'm just going to get myself sorted here. So between Dodie and
I'll let Judith go first, and I can watch how you operate this, because everyone works in a different way, so I'd be interested.
Just do the way it works with you, Dodie.
Makes it beautiful. Yeah,
I don't know who I'm linking in with yet. So thank you for staying on, guys, and hopefully you enjoy the readings. So I want to talk about, first of all, there's a gentleman with me, and he's showing me a ration book, but he's also showing me bread. But when the bread was bought, it was quite warm still. So they were like picking the bread out of the loaf. He talks about World War II, sailor, and he makes me aware he was very lucky. He traveled the world as a job, but he was very lucky in the sense that he's seen a lot of the world as on his travels. Then he shows me a lady with a wren uniform, and I feel there was I feel he had the connection with this lady. And he also gives me the name Nancy, and he also gives me the names William. He also talks about the month of August. Okay, and he's so they always get me singing somewhere. So I think my mum listened to this. Is it? Oh gosh, you have me singing. Okay, is it do ra diddy diddy dum diddy day? Do ra diddy diddy dum diddy day.
Yeah, 60s thing.
Is it okay?
50s and 60s, yeah.
He's singing that song to me, so he is. And he also talks about ducks, feeding the ducks. He's just showing me like bread, feeding the ducks. And he's showing me him, and he's wearing a vest, like a white vest. So he's not wearing the shirt, but he would have been during like a casual. And I feel like they played ball, or they were on the deck of a boat. I want to say like a ship. Go ahead, please. Okay, so he's telling me he's his father. He is a father. Okay, go ahead. And he's also given me the connection of Brighton. He's just said, I want to say holidays, Brighton. Brighton Pier. He's talking about Dodie, can you take any of this?
No, I can't. I can take the wren. I can absolutely take the wren, because that's what my mother-in-law was. She was a wren. But I can't take the background.
Okay.
So that might just be a, coincidence.
Can you take the name Nancy?
No.
Kelly said she can relate to this as well.
Oh, good. There you go.
She's saying can't relate.
Oh, can't relate for me. All right.
Saying can't relate. Okay, Brighton Pier. Okay, give me something else then. Something a wee bit. I've done that. They're singing the song to me again. I feel like I want to dance now. Go ahead. Give me something more personal to narrow it down in, please. He talks about leg warmers. Leg warmers at sea. Knitted. Somebody. Okay.
My father-in-law used to knit.
Okay.
And he was at sea. He was a Navy man. You don't think perhaps we're picking up my father-in-law?
I do. I think I'm with you, Dodie. That's why I asked.
She was a wren and he was a sailor, and he would knit, and he would hide his knitting. He would hide it when people came in.
Yeah. I feel he knitted leg warmers or something to keep his legs.
I think he certainly did knit, and he knitted jumpers and all sorts of things. So I think that's what you've got there, Lovey.
Yeah, I keep feeling I'm with you. Do you know the name Nancy?
No, I don't, but I don't know.
Nancy's relevant. Remember, I've gave the name Nancy.
What I can do, Judith, I can ask my mother-in-law tomorrow.
Yes. You'll be able to get all the information back from this replay. But the month of August is relevant, and Brighton, and he talks about Brighton Pier. I'm seeing, like a summer seat, and I'm seeing like a couple sit on the summer seat.
They used to go away for holiday, but I think it was kind of they were of that time. They were of that age group. You could work it out. She's 101 this year, so you're in the right age group of do-ah-did-did-did. He used to play the piano as well, so he used to be involved with music. But he was
piano. We learned a lot by ear.
Yes, he did. Absolutely, it was all by ear.
Yeah,
I think you've got him. Yeah, you've got him, and he would have definitely tried to get through.
Yeah, I am definitely linking him because I keep being drawn to you. Go ahead then, please. So, Dodie, I want to say to you about Nigel.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
They've just given me the name Nigel. Go ahead, please. Oh. Do you understand? I want to say to you, I also feel to do with Nigel, there's a very strong spiritual link.
Very.
Okay.
You've picked up something very, very big in my life. Nigel.
Okay. I'm getting it's really.
He was a tarot reader as well.
Yeah, he's very spiritual. He's coming forward and it's coming. He works with you still? He works with you still?
Well, if he does, he would be welcome. I would love to know that he does. I have not met him for years.
Well, I'm being told he does.
Well, that's lovely. Well, I'm happy about that. Yes, that would be very nice.
Okay. Nigel is very much going to make himself very known to you. I want to say after this. There's a lot to connect with you with Nigel, and there's a big change coming up is what they're saying, and Nigel is part of that going forward.
Can I tell you a little story about him, which is very appropriate?
Yes, go ahead.
We had a very passionate relationship, and it was doomed, not to put too fine a point in it. And I left him. I sometime later was woken up in the night, and I was taken to stand outside of his house. He had a 3-story house, and the door opened, and it was like walking into the TARDIS. It was a huge place, and there was illuminated wall hangings. It was absolutely beautiful. There were paintings on the walls. I'd go, what is so lovely? We got the stairs to the next floor. It was the same. It was absolutely beautiful. Everywhere was lovely. I said, what is this? They said, this is the man. This was the man. Then we went and got to the top of the house, and the ceiling had been blown out. The roof had gone. It was just rafters. I said, what happened there? And the angel said, you happened.
But you know, Dodie, I'm getting Nigel is in spirit.
That would not surprise me.
I'm getting Nigel is in spirit, but I also, although I brought forward your mother-in-law's your father-in-law's side or your mother-in-law, what I want to say is the connection I want to link you in with is Nigel. And going forward, his message that he needs to explain is there's a lot of work now, teamwork going forward, that he's going to be working with you spiritually.
Nice.
He's just, I have to correct that massively. He's just said massively.
Very significant, Judith. Thank you. That's a really, really one. I'll explain that more, but it's not something I could talk of on air, but it's very, very significant.
Well,
and
be ready.
Very humble. Makes me very humble.
It's coming very soon, that reconnection.
Wow.
Be ready for that. Okay. And I leave you with his love. I'll leave you with his love.
And yes, I did love him.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful.
Wow.
So heartfelt.
That's just like a gift, you know. That's a gift, like that like the cat's coming back. This is a gift, because it was like a question mark in my life. It was very, very traumatic. So the question mark is just, it's there no more. It's just very, very nice. And I'm very grateful to that. I'm very grateful to Nigel. He was a very unusual man. He was a typical Virgo, you know, and he lived in France for a long time. So he was very knowledgeable and very wise. And his help would be.
There's a lot of catching up to do with him, Dodie. There's a lot of catching up happening after this.
So, do you want
anybody on the line that wants a reading? Ask for one.
Yeah, well, there's one.
They'll all want a reading.
They all do, but this gentleman's just put, hi Dodie, I appreciate a reading if able, but I'm sure everybody wants a reading.
Right. So. Well, as you know, the only way I do readings now, I would work through the tarot. So if he doesn't mind, that's how I work, if that's okay. And I use a very beautiful pack. It's called the Thoth pack. It's very lovely, very emotional. So if you give me a few moments to just, if I could have his Christian name.
Rob.
Is it Rob? Is that his name?
Yes, his name's Rob. Yeah.
Rob. Okay.
Just
give me a moment.
Yeah. There he is.
As people who know me, that I mostly read now for Japan, Korea, and America. And so it's all very different and it's all very wonderful. And I'm working with a wonderful Japanese girl to see if we can. Anyway, no, this is Rob here anyway. Okay. So I love the tarot. They're very significant. They're very real, and they're very
on point.
They're very gifted. And if in the right hands, they can be dramatic. Well, if I'm going to show the picture, so if Rob can Rob see this or just hear?
No, he
can see.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is this marvelous thing. Now you have to be careful of the words, Rob, because the card is called Le Fou, which means the fool. And this can be terribly misread by people who don't know what the heck they're doing. It can be read as somebody who feels a fool, or who feels as if he has been fooled. But actually, this is the card of a kind of innocence. It's a kind of not it's a kind of space where from this, oh, and Rob, if you like, you can contact me after this. You can, because we're talking now. If you like, you can. You could just say, hi, Dodie, this is me, Facebook or whatever. And if you have questions, we can carry on. Is that all right, ladies?
Yes, of course it is.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
LeFou, the cards of new beginnings, where the person comes with all the knowledge of his life. I can probably not bring you someone who has passed on at this stage, but I can certainly talk about you, if that's okay, because this to me is the card of someone who has lived before and before and before and before, and who's come into this world with a gift. A gift. The gift can be known to him and secreted, but he has in this card a human situation that has made him feel bereft, or made him feel empty, or made him feel lost. Going over that is this interesting card, which is a human card, and it shows something called a Prince of Fire. The Prince of Fire is energy. In terms of a person, it's someone who has a talent. The talent may be expressed through words, it might be expressed through art, it might be expressed through garden, just the greatest grow. But what this person wants to do is kind of live again, to be alive again, to be free. Can I just ask Rob if he has a son?
Just wait on the answer just now.
I'm not sure if it still has a 60-second delay. It depends if he's on YouTube or Facebook.
Sometimes it's a little bit. No, he says no.
Right. Then this card then ultimately is him himself, because what it represents is desire to live, desire to be again, desire to be alive, and to find a kind of momentum. Often it's where a person has reached a point in their life where they are in a process of changing what appears to be the structure of their life. They can have lost what was their life. They can feel somewhat empty. They could feel as if the path has sort of shriveled up, but it isn't. With this lovely little card that crosses you, it is of not begin again, but of take what you have and use it. This is not my ideal way of reading for someone, but because this is what we do, then we'll do it. Then we find this card. So I'd love to know how and why Rob listens to things spiritual. This is the card of the, shall we call him the apprentice magician, the someone who has a raw kind of energy within him. He is like some of my clients who have a specific role within their life. They have a specific tutorial message, something to pass on. When this card is around, it is someone who has a kind of energy that is different and can't always be controlled. It needs to be given a perfect form of some kind of human form. Say, for instance, say in healers, when this card is about, or in people who are trying to promote healing, it has to find a specific tool. Doesn't have to be a hand, doesn't have to be, can often be their voice. It can often be just who they are. So it's the need for, what you see in a magician is something like, almost like Adonis, or like a god in making. If you think of Gabriel in the second chance, what you have is a young man who's got all these energies, who doesn't actually want them, but whether he wants them or not, they are there. That's what the magician is like. If you think of Dukas, Sorcerer's Apprentice, you get the idea of Mickey Mouse. And with the, do you know that cartoon of Mickey Mouse, the Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Yes.
That's what the magician is like. He has raw energy, and it's all something that's so worth having, but needs to be channeled to a specific form. When I first started reading the tarot, which was in 1973, I was just given a pack. They say, you do this stuff, don't you, Dodie? And I thought, oh, okay. Took them away. And I used to put them under my pillow at night, the major. For ages, I worked with the major, which is crazy when you think about it. But that's what I did to try to. This card represents something that's unique. So I would love to talk to this individual, to this man, and find out what it is that he wants to do and what it is within his life and with his info that's so changed that he can now focus on this one particular gift.
Yeah. He'd contact you.
Yeah. I've actually put your contact details up, but anybody can rewind and catch up as well to contact you. Well, thank you, Dodie. That was lovely. That was really nice.
Well, he's something that's, people listen and watch your program for a reason. They're not there out of idle curiosity. They're there because it matters to them. And for someone to appear with two major tarot cards, just for me to go, and one is the beginning of something, and the next, which is 0, and the next card is actually 1. So he's got the first beginning. Yeah, it's like saying you almost born. Here you are again. You've arrived again. You've got your little haversack on your back, which has all your memories, and you're kind of in the press. And the next card is the actual card of 1. So it's gone from 0 to 1. It's fascinating. And in between, this little human figure of the Prince of Fire, which is someone who likes to take something and put it in writing or paint or sing. It's someone with a gift. So it's those. I'd love to progress further on, but it's not the right way.
You'll contact it.
Yeah.
Rob is saying thank you, and he also says I have been thinking about that. So Rob, give Dodie
one of the best ways is Messenger, good old Facebook. You can't beat Messenger. God bless it. You can talk to Tokyo one and then Chicago the next. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I will continue on with my reading, and I have got a lady here who has, as she comes forward here, I feel this lady was very spiritual. I feel as well that she gives me that energy of respect, so much love that I feel from her. I also know she talks about the Holy Grail. She's also taking me to the most beautiful, it looks like a church or a cathedral. But as I step inside this, I can actually see a statue, and as I get closer to the statue, I can see it's Mother Teresa, the statue of Mother Teresa. I'm actually seeing, and I know this would be relevant either that she had that statue herself, or Mother Teresa would be something that would be important to her, or the name Teresa. Okay, but I know she shows me that very strongly. And I also know as she comes in as well, she also makes me feel here that there would be a connection with a son. Okay, I feel this lady has also got a son in the spirit world with her as well. Okay, so I don't want to carry on too much until I get exactly who I am going to, but I know you had brought in earlier on about the Navy and the sailor, etc. And at that time, I was getting it coming in and out, and I thought I was picking up on your energy there, but I've actually got it back again, so I know I'm not. So the connection with the Navy as well would be relevant as well there. Now, I don't know if let me just see. It is Margaret Weatherwell still on, or has she left?
No, Margaret should be here. She's usually here.
Right, that's a wonderful name, Margaret Weatherwell. That's a beautiful name.
Yes. I was getting a connection between Margaret and also Kelly as well. Kelly, don't know what your second name was, but I was getting a connection.
There. Yeah,
Margaret.
Margaret.
I mean, I may be off my track here on who I'm going to, but I got that connection. So I don't know if Margaret and Kelly, if either of you would understand this lady I speak about, who I do feel.
Alice, sorry, can I just ask you to ask the Kelly if she lost her daughter? If she's lost her daughter, if it's Kelly who's lost her daughter, can you just ask?
Kelly, have you lost your daughter? Could you? I've
If
not got
it's
your daughter here, but Dodie's bringing that information in just now. But if you have, no, I've never had any kids.
That's
Okay.
Okay,
So if I can continue on with my connection, I do feel here this lady. Yes, my Aunt Margaret. Is that who says that?
That's Angela. That's somebody different.
Okay, right. Let me continue. Okay. Right, okay. All I need you to do, I don't want you to give me information, okay? That's my job as a medium, but what I definitely want you to do is I really want you to say yes or no. Do you understand the information that I'm providing? So I'm going to give it out again. This lady I have got, I feel is very spiritual. I know that I feel she was Catholic. I feel she was a Roman Catholic. I feel as well the church, the cathedral. I know she loved all that. She loved to see cathedrals. She loved to go to different churches. She liked to explore all that avenue. Okay. And I also know as well, she has a son with her. Oh, okay. Right. That's okay. That's all right. If I'm not with Kelly or Margaret, that's okay. As I said, I wasn't too sure. So it's quite difficult when you're doing it and you're not face to face and I'm not asking.
Yeah, cheers.
I'm actually trying to provide that information and share it out. Okay. It's a lot easier if you actually say with somebody like a reading and have you on and do it.
It's so true. Yeah.
But
I find this quite difficult. It's as much as I would love to talk to these people, I feel as if I need an hour, which is crazy.
Sorry to cut you off there, Dodie. Right, Margaret Wetherill. Right, then I am connecting with you because you understand all of this. Okay, my darling. You said yes, you understand it, brother. He's son and he in spirit, and he was in the Navy. That's absolutely fine. Wonderful. Because, as I say, he kept coming back again. So I'm going to stick with you, Margaret, if that's okay, darling, because I did feel that pull going to you. And I'm glad that you can actually validate the information that I'm providing, because I know here that I know that this as he comes in, I know he was a cheeky chappy as well, and I know he whistled a lot. He liked to whistle. He was quite a funny character, okay? But he's also with, as I said, another lady who is very spiritual, okay? And I know that there was this, the Holy Grail I kept getting as well. Yeah, he was. You understand that about his character. Okay, that's fine, darling. And I know that this lady, she mentions the Holy Grail. She mentions also about the statue of Saint Teresa as well. And I feel as if this is a Catholic connection I'm picking up here. If not, then I would say to you, very strong religion, okay, and faith. This lady was never frightened to pass the spirit world. So I feel we're talking about a mother or a grandmother here, okay, who is with as you did you say aunt earlier on? Did you say aunt? I think you did. I just know this is this lady's son. Okay, I know this is this lady's son, and I know that when he passed the spirit world, I do also feel here that he passed before she passed. Okay, that there's this connection of I can just feel the pain and the suffering of her son, of her boy passing to spirit world. But I know there's this love and connection as they join together now. Okay. And I feel the love there. I feel this connection really strong. And I also know it's so important that I bring in the statue of Mother Teresa. Okay. It's very important that I bring that in. Okay. So you say you're not sure about Catholic, but prayed a lot. That's absolutely fine, because I felt it was the strong religion, as I said. And I also feel that this lady was not scared of passing to spirit world. She was very much a lady of trust and faith. And she knew when her time came, she knew she was going to a good place, you know. But I also know as well that the pain and the suffering of losing her son, you know, she also knew that he was in a good place. It was just the loss of him that was painful, but they're very much together now. I would like to now just spiritually connect as well. I'm still with you, but I would like, if you can, please, could you give me a number, Margaret, between 1 and 3, my darling? If you can just give me a number, please, between 1 and 3, Margaret, that would be great. Okay, and I'm going to give you a card here from Spirit Team that I have. Okay, and connect that with the message and also with the beauty. I knew you were going to say 3, Margaret. I knew you were going to say 3. I kept hearing 3. Okay. I also want to say to you, Margaret, I also feel October is very relevant to you as well, for a passing or a birthday or anniversary. But I also know October is also getting brought in for you as well there, Margaret. Okay. So we're going to go for number 3 here with you, Margaret. And I'm going to just go with the card on this. And we have got I am sorry, please forgive me. Okay. Now I feel with this card here, I feel this is more to do with an apology that I'm getting told from spirit world that you are also needing. Okay. Oh, it's your sister that passed in October, Margaret. Okay, thank you so much for giving me that validation. But I want to say to you that yeah, okay. I want to say to you, I know that I've still got the sailor here, and I know he's been over a long time, but I also feel your grandmother is here as well. I also feel a connection very closely as well with the name of Anne or Annie coming in as well. Okay. But as they're all coming in here, they're talking about where an apology is needing to be made to you, and it's regarding what's going on in your life just now. Okay. And I just feel it's taking its time to come. Okay. But it is coming. Okay. And I also feel that they talk about somebody here, and I feel it's more a gentleman. It's not it's a male, it's not a female, but they're saying here that you just felt a little bit let down, and words were said that kind of shouldn't have been said, and they're saying the apology is coming. The apology is coming for you. Okay, Margaret. So if you can just validate on that, if you understand, because I want to make sure I'm getting this correct. I did hear apology is coming for you. Long awaited, I've just heard as well. Long awaited coming in as well for you, Margaret. Okay. Yeah, okay. There's just a bit of time delay, but I will I'll continue on with this. Okay. So that is what I'm getting from your spiritual card. And you say yes, okay, thank you. So I would also like to give you as well from my angel card, Archangel Oriole. Okay, so you have got Archangel Oriole. Okay. But as I connect with this card, I'm still connecting with the spirit world as well. I want to also say to you, the card is also saying welcome new beginnings. Okay, and there is new beginnings, but I also want to say it's like letting the sun shine back in your life again. Okay, because there has been a little bit of darkness, a little bit of mist that has been around you, where you've been finding it hard to kind of clear the dust and see the light. Okay, but that's coming back in for you. Okay, and I also feel January is very important with that, and this is me psychically giving you this now. I feel January is very important with that, with the new beginnings. But I also feel the house plan or the house move is also on the cards. Okay, and to do with the house changing and house moving and moving on. Okay, and you know, if you can understand that, yes, that's right. Okay, that's fine. So if you understand that, I want to give you January with the new beginnings, and I also want to give you as well. Can you understand where I would be getting the name Sam or Samuel as well? Because I'm getting the name Sam or Samuel coming in from Spirit World. I feel is very relevant. Okay, and I want to pass that on to you because I just feel here that this gentleman in Spirit is a strong figure. You know, he's actually a strong gentleman who would have had his hand on many people's backs, supporting them. And I know he's very much around you, and so is your grandfather. And I feel this name is connected around your grandfather. Okay. So I would love to just leave you with all the love. Please accept also an apology that will be coming for you. Okay. And it will be coming quite soon. Okay, within the next 3 months. Within the next 3 months. Okay, my darling. So I hope that makes sense to you. And if something doesn't, just remember, you know, sometimes there's things still to come, okay? But as long as you understand the validation of who I brought through from Spirit and also the message in which you clearly do, so that's I know I'm on the right path there, and I know I'm with the right person. So I want to leave you with that. But can I just say as well, though, start trusting yourself a bit more, okay? You've lost your confidence a little bit, Margaret, all right? And also there's healing going to the person who fell and hurt their leg. Okay, there's healing to that person who fell and hurt their leg. But just to tell you that as well before I leave you. Okay, my darling. Much love to you, and thank you for letting me work with you. Thank you so much.
Sweet, such a sweet thing. So lovely.
Okay.
That's lovely.
Lovely. That was really nice, Alice. Really good.
Welcome. Yeah. Come.
So do you mind if I go forward with the person that I've got? They're chatting away to me, and they're taking me on a tour at the moment. I have a gentleman with me, so I don't know who I'm linking in with yet. So if it resonates with you, please comment and let me know. But I have a gentleman with me. He's not saying it's how he passed. He's saying he had heart problems. He talks about 5 grandchildren. He makes me aware of 5 grandchildren. 2 boys, 3 girls. He's just said 2 boys, 3 girls. He loved his cars. They were always spotless. He was very fussy, very particular about his cars. But he also talks about the month of June. Now, he also shows me a motorbike, and he shows me him traveling. He's just used the term Sunday driver, so he casually would have tittled along the country roads from town to town on his motorbike. Then we were having a conversation about porridge, and I was just saying yuck, full stop. And he was talking about water, making it with water, the traditional way. But it was his way also of bringing in the TV program Porridge. And he talks about the 2 Ronnies. He loved the 2 Ronnies. So he was doing this he was doing like some kind of stretch with his arms, but it was to release his shoulders and his upper back. And he always had a knack of being able to do that. And he talks about Val Donegan. He talks about Elvis. Loves Elvis. Still does love Elvis, he says. But he's saying that someone on the earthly plane loves to listen to Elvis still. Then he takes me down a hallway, and I'm seeing a hallway, and to the left is the living room. And as he takes me down the hallway, there's photographs. There's photographs, beautiful memories all the way down the hall. And these photographs go from old photographs to new photographs. So he very much loves to capture the memories. Okay. I like a bit of Elvis myself. But I have to talk. It's very, the hallway is very relevant, and I feel it was his home, or that still there's someone still connected to where was his home. He talks about the 12th of August. 12th of August is relevant. He also makes me aware that he has a brother in spirit with him. He talks about birthday in October, Irish connections. He talks about Irish connections, and he also talks about Birmingham. So he's making me aware. He's just said to me, family. Can anybody take any of this? I don't see any takers. Let me see. Chat to me some more. What else do you want to show me? What else do you want to tell me?
He sounds a very loving man.
He likes to sketch, like pencil. He likes to sketch.
Sounds lovely, man.
He wouldn't have used colour. Just sketched with pencil. He did lovely drawn sketches, and I'm being shown like single pages. So I feel that wasn't. He's not showing me a book. He's just showing me the single pages.
If we could just interrupt, we've got two people and three people who are saying yes, and one who's saying my cousin.
Okay. Can everybody who can take the 12th of August? 12th of August is relevant. June's relevant. Birthday in October is relevant. The Irish connections and the Birmingham. The porridge program on the buses. Okay, they like their TV. Now they're talking about on the buses.
Can I just say here, Kelly says, can't take it, but the rest of it, but my birthday is 12th of August.
Okay. Well, the rest of it does matter. Sorry, but I have to say the rest of it does matter.
I was trying to understand that there. You can't see. Yeah.
So I want to say about the 5 grandchildren, 2 boys, 3 girls. Okay. He had heart problems. His cars were very important to him. They were like his signature, his status. So go ahead. What else would you like to share with me? Oh, he would have got seasick. He didn't like the sea. Okay. He's just said, I was scared of the sea. And now he's laughing. He said, I was scared of the sea. I was a big chicken when it came to water. He still is. Okay. Go ahead. What else? He's doing a bit of like Fred Astaire with a top hat and stick, and he's like, now he's kind of like dancing with me. He's talking about stage. Okay, so he's talking. Okay, you were. Okay. He's telling me about children in the pantomime. In or watching. Okay, and they were the front row. They were watching it. Children at the pantomime, and they were at the front row. And I feel like my belly's sore laughing. I actually feel like I can feel the muscles in my tummy. Like I've been laughing and laughing and laughing. Yeah. Please, can I ask you to give me something a wee bit more precision so that I can kind of like.
Nobody yet. No one yet, Judith.
There's somebody here for him. I just don't know, but there's somebody here for him. Go ahead, please. He's just given me the name Samantha. He says, tell him Samantha. Okay, so I have to give the name Samantha. Okay, Samantha is very relevant.
And Angela is saying my cousin rides a motorbike, but you'd need to understand it all, Angela.
Yeah, it has to all make sense. It all plays, then the messages is going to the wrong person. So Samantha, I'm asking him for a little bit more information, and he's given me Samantha. Okay. Oh God, he likes to sing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing singing tonight. I want to sing my Delilah to you. He's having a sing song with me now. We're doing okay. I need you to pinpoint me a bit more, please. He's given me the initial. Okay. He's having fun with me now. He gave me the initial J, and then I went to say, and then he went Jenny. Okay. Who likes Jenny? Please don't make me sing this. Okay, I want to sing like Jenny on the Block. I don't know the words, but I have to sing like Jenny on the Block. A little, now I got a lot. He's really funny. He's making me giggle. Okay, stop it. Don't keep me laughing. Okay, Jenny on the Block. Okay, I don't know who sings that song. I have to tell you, Jenny on the Block. Somebody likes that song here. Okay. And I want to talk about somebody who's had their arm in a sling. Like he's showing me like the sling holding the arm up.
If somebody could maybe come forward with some answers, because we're now at 10 to 10 and we've still got Dodie to come on as well.
Oh, so, don't worry about me. This is very interesting. I'm listening.
So please give some comments back for Judith, if you can understand.
Yes, I'm Jenny from the Block. Yes. No, something about something little. Now I know a lot. Something about where I came from. Okay. Somebody's been searching records for loved ones. I want to say adoption. Somebody's been trying to find, I want to say adoption records. I have to say adoption records.
Angela has just said, my cousin has a sister called Jenny.
I don't think it's that. I honestly don't think it's Angela, to be honest. I don't think it's Angela. Can I just check with you? Are we with Angela Irvin? No, I'm not.
We have now got someone else who has said, yeah, I had arm in a sling a month ago.
Can she pay? I think you're on my group, and I think you're called Eva. I hope I'm correct. If I'm mistaken, please excuse me. But can you take the month of June? Can you take the 12th of August is relevant? And can you take the five? There's five. This gentleman has 5 grandchildren within the family circle, and I feel it. I want to. Yes, okay, thank you. When you get there eventually, I want to say that there's a 6th on the way, or there's a 6th going to be on the way. He's just celebrating. He's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
If you understand it, Eva. If you understand it, say yes.
Yeah,
she's just said Eva. Yes, her name's Eva.
Oh, right. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you take all of this, Eva? I want to say this is a grandfather. He talks about his 5 grandchildren. Okay, go ahead and just give me what is the message you would like me to pass, please. Going to be a great, okay.
My father, yeah.
So I know we were having a giggle, and he's a lovely gentleman, and I could chat to him all night.
But my father's alive, she says.
Okay. There's a grandfather in spirit. I can't change who he's coming forward, and he's making me aware he's a grandfather in spirit. But what I want to say is the message, the rest was just to show that they're around and how much love they're giving and how much they're taking in of what's still going on in life. Mm-hmm. But his message is very much about adoption. Okay. I have to give the message is connected to someone's identity, adoption, and they're not to give up hope, because answers is coming, and they're going to find that connection. They're going to find their path. They're going to find that lineage that they've been searching for, and it's going to come in a way that they weren't expecting. It's going to surprise them, but it's exactly what they've been waiting for, and I feel it's very strongly connected. That's yes. He says yes. You're very welcome. He's just said thank you. So I'm going to leave it there, because I know you'll be able to watch this back, Eva, and you'll be able to hear all his messages. But please remember the adoption, the identity, the connection. That's why it was important for him to come forward.
Oh, there you go. There you are. She's just answered it. Could be my niece. Yeah. There are fertility problems going on there.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's great.
You're very welcome, Eva. Listen, there's a lot of love around you, a lot of love, and a lot of healing. A lot of healing. But thank you.
All right. Thank you, Judith. Thank you so much.
You're
It's
welcome.
it's like a puzzle, you know, and when you're doing it online, it is very, very different to what it would be if you were face to face with someone. You know, so because you don't.
And it's important you stick to their messages, because it's their messages.
It is absolutely.
So they've made an effort. They've made an effort to get to you to say it. So it's very important.
Yeah,
absolutely, Dodie.
We've only got 5 minutes left, Dodie. So have you got?
Can I just tell you what I've been seeing? But it may be relevant to everyone rather than just one. But what I've been seeing is as if I was a teacher looking at children on their desks, looking at children with their head down, and it's all my viewpoint is of this person who has just spent this time watching children at desks writing. So it might be relevant to what we're just talking about, the idea of learning, but it felt to me as if I was seeing through someone's eyes, a teacher, someone who used to teach, and was a kind of feeling at the back of it of a Sunday school. But that's all I could get. But that stayed with me the entire thing. So it's important, but I'm not sure how and to whom.
Okay. Anybody can take that. If you could message, you're getting it for a reason, Dodie.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Also, I think with that as well, there's a lot of teaching going on in tonight as well. You know, no matter what we do as mediums, we learn all the time. You know, and we learn new ways in working as well. You know.
There you go. Retired teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, and also Eva, that I was connected to, is also a teacher.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting because it was like eyes that were watching and listening. So that's really a lovely connection. That's a lovely cross connection because we've learned from her. She's learned. Oh, lovely.
Yeah. That is very interesting. Yeah. Any words of wisdom at all, Dodie, before we kind of wrap up?
I felt that her eyes were open. What was wonderful was that the feeling was of quiet wisdom, that kind of quiet thing that was within a person that knows what they're talking about. And what was interesting was also that it was like looking at how teaching should be. That's what I felt, rather that not that it is now, but there was a sort of feeling of that's how teaching should be. And she had the most lovely sense of open to it and observing the children rather than pushing something at them. I was very entertained by it. I liked her.
Yeah.
It's lovely the way you cross connection.
A calming connection.
Lovely. Yeah. Fabulous. That's the lovely, surprising thing about this kind of program. That it's so open to wonderful things, ideas.
Yeah.
But, God bless her, Eva. She's something.
Yeah. Well, just before we kind of close, I would like to just say tomorrow night at the Arden Cable Hotel in Helensburgh, in Rue, there is going to be, as you know, I do Sparkle of Light events once a month. So there will be myself and Kirsty Manson, who will be doing mediumship demonstration tomorrow night. And also anybody who purchases tickets online gets 2 free lucky numbers for the prizes that are on tomorrow night. We do charity work all year round, and we are at this moment in time, we are actually doing the charity for PDSA. So that is where some of the donations will be going to after expenses have been shared out. But that is where it will be going, is PDSA. And I'm running that right up until December for PDSA. So if anybody wants to come along, the doors open at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. As I say, Arden Cable Hotel in Helensburgh in Scotland, and it will start 7:30 and it will finish at 9:30. So, as well, if anybody wants to contact me, then it's alicetrevoro@gmail.com. And next week, we're on again next Tuesday at the same time with another guest. Judith, what have you got coming up, sweetheart?
So guys, coming up is on the 28th of September. I'm doing a spiritual name blessing and attunement at 7:30 p.m. UK time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now, only Spirit can give us our spiritual names. We can only receive them via Spirit. So I've been guided to do that. I'm looking forward to that. Episode 10 of Prophetic News is out Monday just past. We've just released episode 10. Amazing predictions, amazing revelations. As always, Spirit never ceases to surprise us. So if you haven't watched episodes or any Prophetic News, or if you're catching up, please check out Prophetic episode 10. Lots has come true. Also, catch me on a Tuesday night at 7:30 on radioask.com, askradio.com. And then you'll get me here on 8 o'clock onwards on a Tuesday evening. So, what about yourself, Dodie?
Well, as you know, I do everything today is my work to do with spiritual midwife. So mostly I'm working with at the moment with Japan, with America. I'm open to anybody. What I would like to say is that I do regular chats about UBIs, out of body traveling on Facebook for anybody who, and there's no charge or anything, just boom, an hour of how, but I've got one coming up about this fascinating idea of the word ghost and what it implies and what it means and what it has meant to me for the last 100 lives.
When is that?
Continues to do so. So anybody who wants to just become a Facebook pal. I'm open to friendships everywhere. I love people. I guess you know that. And this kind of thing to me is life.
Yeah.
Life.
So when is it going to be?
I would say probably next week is the best way I could put it. Next week. So I'll give next week. I'll just flag it up.
Yeah.
I'll let you ladies know if that's okay. If that would be okay for you. But it's always about time warps, time sets to different countries.
Yeah.
So it's all about, strangely, Japan loves to be on sound 10 a.m. in my morning, 10 a.m. UK time, which is fine by me. But But I will just do what I do.
Thank you, Dodie. I would like to
thank
you for your guest on the show tonight, and you're a shining bright of light. So you are. You definitely are. And
maybe I'm reflecting yours. Maybe I'm reflecting yours.
No, and I'm looking forward to having you back on the show again.
I would love to come back. I would love to. I love the openness of this program.
Yeah,
I love the way that it's open.
More in depth of it. It's hard to compact everything all in at once, but
I realized I was silly. I should not have brought the tarot. What I should have done was just said, I see this, the cloak.
It's what it's meant to be. Yeah. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Beautiful. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And thank you, Judith, also for being on.
Dear Judith.
Yeah, and to everybody out there, remember, I'm going to say my usual words. Look after yourself and each other until next week. Good night. Good afternoon, wherever you are, and God bless.